Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another TI3 draft analysis. This is from the group stages, and this is from the second day. I think this is the last match. At this current time, I think Fnatic are like 7-3, and LGD, I do believe, are 6-6 or something like that. I don't know. Probably 5-5. Yeah, they're 5-5. I'm pretty sure. But anyways, LGD versus Fnatic, one of the top Chinese teams against a very, very, very surprising performance out of Fnatic. And this promises to be a very interesting draft. And with me once again is Shred Kid. So LGD at first pick, they pick up the Batrider. Fnatic decide to get the Outworld Devourer as well as the Weaver. And these two heroes, Weaver especially, has been seen a surprising amount, but actually Outworld Devourer has been picked or banned in all but 2 of the games. And you called this, right?
Oh, yeah. This has been a thing for a while. Like, the hero was starting to get really, really good, and then he got the 315 move speed buff, and now he's just unstoppable, man. So, Odie's a problem that you got to draft around. He's just like a problem hero. You can't... He's one of those heroes you can't let do his thing, otherwise you'll just lose. And you got to go way out of your way to deal with it. So, I think the first pick, Bat, is pretty solid, but Batrider can't lane against Odie mid, and Fnatic just immediately picked that up. So that's going to be an issue that I immediately see. That Odie mid's got to be stopped. And Weaver's pretty solid against Batrider if you give him safe lane farm and let him get that Linken's up pretty fast. Because then Bat needs to get the Weaver with the Linken's, you got to have a gem on Bat to begin with. You got to blink in. Then you have to use your Force Staff on the Weaver, which means you're not getting forced backwards. Grab him and then walk backwards. It's really not a good solution. So right now I think Fnatic may have a slight edge, just with these picks alone.
Right. So before we unpause, I just want to talk about the bans for a little bit. So I understand the Wisp as well as Lifestealer Era has played a fantastic Lifestealer, and the Chinese really do respect the Wisp. And actually it was Fnatic. I mean, Golback initially drafted the Wisp CK, but Fnatic really perfected it back when they were really struggling. So Wisp makes a lot of sense. Darkseer makes sense as well because, I mean, he's annoying to deal with, and Yao does play a fantastic Darkseer. So Alchemist, the ban is because it's a very annoying matchup for Weaver because he's so damn difficult to kill, and Weaver tends to build defensive before offensive, or is it just for some other reason, you think?
I don't think it's Weaver because they didn't even know that they were getting Weaver at that point, I think.
That's true, that's true.
I think it's because Chinese teams just destroy everything when you give them Alchemist. Like, if you watch these Chinese teams run Alchemist, they just farm and farm and farm, and he doesn't get killed, and they farm, and then they win. I mean, the standard Shadowblade BKB AC into 80 items is, like, it works for them. It's really good because it's just a safe pick. So I think that most of the Chinese teams are owning really, really hard with Alchemist, and it's a really good decision to ban it against them.
Okay, so we're going to unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. It doesn't matter, again, too much about the time because this is just a draft analysis. So this is game 1. LGD have been struggling quite a bit. Meanwhile, Fnatic have just been really on a roll. And LGD decided to go with the Visage. Again, probably the best support in the trialing era. And he's always been one of the best supports in the trialing era, even as far back as 2010. So everything comes around in circles. But LGD decided to ban out the Tree. They know Tree as well as Weaver and OD are just, like, literally the worst things on Earth. So, a pretty smart ban there, but I don't know if Fnatic necessarily picked it up, because then they wouldn't really do much in the early game, but then again, they have Weaver, so I don't know.
Fnatic doesn't have to do things. The burden's on LGD to do things. So, I think Trent would have been pretty good against that, so it's a really smart ban. And even though you have a Batrider, it doesn't matter so much, because that's only killing the people who Batrider's going on. It doesn't deal with anything else. Right now, I think we see a pattern emerging. LGD is going for heroes who have a lot of presence early and very strong in lane. And Fnatic right now is more flexible. They can either group up an 8-minute mech push, they can actually just farm so far. I think Fnatic right now actually has more flexibility, even though LGD gaming, their bans are more, or their picks are more flexible in general, but I think Fnatic has more options that they can do.
So right now, both teams are doing a decent job disguising lanes. I mean, the only thing we know for sure is that Fnatic are going to put OD in the mid lane most likely, and I guess...
Not necessarily. You can safe lane solo him. You can aggressive tri-lane the Weaver. Like, a lot of teams are hiding OD. Like, when a team goes out of their way to pick an OD counter, then they put the OD in the safe lane and get another mid. But with the Razor ban, it's pretty certain that OD is going to be mid now.
Okay, that makes sense. Meanwhile, LGD battle Naga, and you've already expounded upon why Naga does do well against Batrider because of the sleep initiation and all of that. And of course, I mean, Naga does synergize pretty well with Weaver because it can just use Swarm, and then everything will be attached at that point. So right
And
now,
OD too.
yeah. So right now, Fnatic, I mean, they have their 2 cores, and Fnatic is a team that likes to pick up a lot of cores, so you can probably be assured they're going to pick up one more, I guess, mid-game damage dealer. But they do need the support. To me, LGD need the support, they need some damage dealer, and a lot of the traditional damage dealers have been eliminated, so what are the options for LGD right now? Because they have a Visage, who is a very strong Trilan hero, but Fnatic just picked themselves up a Dragon Knight, so this lineup is incredibly difficult to kill, and incredibly difficult to push against in the mid-game because they're so damn tanky. So right now LGD, they have strong heroes, but how are they going to do damage to these guys? That's my main concern.
I think they have to just focus on winning the lanes because DK or Fnatic just gave away their lanes. It's a DK mid, that's a safe lane solo and aggressive tri lane. So probably Weaver safe lane solo and OD aggressive tri lane. They can do something really weird, but like 95% sure this is what it's going to be. So you have to focus on winning the lanes. You can put Bat mid now. I don't know if LGD does that. I don't think they do actually, and beat the Dragon Knight really, really hard. And you can get an aggressive tri lane that's capable. Or defensive tri lane, but that has a lot of damage. It's capable of killing Weaver supports. They're actually going to pick up Nyx Assassin, which I think is a mistake. Because now, in the aggressive, or well, in LGD's tri lane, I don't think they have enough damage to kill off the supports. Like, they have to do that. That's so important in winning that tri lane. And Nyx Assassin is great against OD once you hit late game, but he's pretty awful in the mid game. And in the early game, it's not what is needed. So, Nyx is also pretty bad against Weaver, who can just run away, and Dragon Knight, who's got such high armor. So I know LGD really, really likes this pickup, and they really favor hard disable, but I don't know if it's going to necessarily work.
So Fnatic go with something interesting. They go with the Chen. So this seems more likely that Fnatic will actually run a defensive tri-lane and probably put Weaver in the off-lane, I think, because, I mean, Era does play a fantastic Weaver. I think it was actually Era who brought Desolator back into style, but I think Trixie is more known to play Weaver, especially with this tri-core sort of build. So right now Fnatic have some strong pushing potential. They're, again, really hard to kill. And the annoying thing, especially about Chen with Batter, is, I mean, I know people like Draskell and a lot of people have talked about this, but you kind of have to focus your attention on Chen, because otherwise he'll either mech in Hand of God or just send them right back.
Yeah.
And it's just really annoying. So Chen has actually received a lot of sort of priority in these TI3 games, especially with, you know, heroes like Barret or Visage in the pool, who just do a lot of damage very quickly. So, I mean, Fnatic, I feel like they have a really, really strong draft, but or they have a really, really strong pushing presence. The only thing I'm a bit concerned about is, like you mentioned earlier, the lanes. But, I mean, if they have OD mid...
Fnatic wins now because of the Nyx pick. LGD Gaming can't aggressive tri-lane anymore because of that Nyx pickup. So now Fnatic can get greedy, and they pick up the Chen. Yeah, and LGD realizes that they can't challenge because of the Nyx, and now they pick up a Spectre, and they just have to farm. But now they got two pretty level-dependent supports in a tri-lane who have to actually be there zoning out Weaver. I'll be right back.
Yep, so Spectre again. I mean, Spectre is a decent hero, especially against Fnatic's lineup, because, again, you do know Fnatic won't likely to go on the offensive, and Spectre's biggest weakness is being challenged in the offensive side. But she's got to do everything, and the thing about Fnatic's lineup is that, I mean, they're not really... They will have ways to get their levels online. They have Chen to get some pushing potential, and what can Spectre actually do before she gets something like a Diffusal Blade or even a Radiance? Because she haunts in, and then OD pops the mech, Dragon Knight tanks it, everything up. So right now, LG, the only advantage I see is that they have the power of initiation, but even then, you have a Chen on your side, so
and
it's
the people
very
they
difficult.
Initiate on, yeah.
Yeah,
the people they initiate on are going to be really, really hard to kill. And there's an OD, so if you blink on someone that isn't OD, he just disrupts them. By the way, my dog just ate my lunch. I'm a little bit sad. So the Furion ban, I think, is pretty straightforward. LGD is looking for an offlaner. It's an offlaner that synergizes really, really well with Spectre, and they got the split push. So if Fnatic just do the group up and push around mech, Furion can go knock on your door. So that's a really smart ban.
So right now, just judging by the lanes, we know for sure LGD Gaming are going to run a defensive line. Batter will likely... Well, we can't say for sure. Do you think Fnatic will put OD in the mid lane and put Dragon Knight in the safe lane now? Or vice versa?
I think it would be smarter to have DK in the mid lane. Well, it depends on where Bat goes, because right now you got options. If Bat goes mid, you put OD mid. If Bat goes in the offlane or jungle or wherever, then you put Dragon Knight mid. Because Dragon Knight's a great mid, except against Bat Rider. OD just slams Bat, so... I think they're just going to try to put the OD against the Bat, wherever that happens.
5 seconds remaining.
And a Shadow Demon ban, that's just a... Well, Fnatic want to support. They want a support that's pretty farm independent, and Shadow Demon's great against Batrider because he just disrupts people. So if you have Shadow Demon and OD, that's a really good combo because now you can't go on anybody because someone's always going to get disrupted. And Vengeful Spirit seems pretty straightforward. Just a lot of physical DPS from Fnatic, and they want an amplification of that.
Yep, and not only that, they also have another way to annoy Batrider, because when Batrider jumps in, you swap, the lasso instantly breaks. And of course, Vengeful Spirit, she's really been, I think, the underrated support of this tournament. She has the magic missile, so she can feasibly apply some early game pressure, although Fnatic are very unlikely to do that with their current lineup. But also, she has that pushing potential. She synergizes quite well with Chen if she puts up some points into the Vengeance aura. So, LG decided to go with Tidehunter, and this just seems like we don't know what else to pick, to me. Like, I guess they want some AoE presence, and...
Well, LGD really favors easy to execute team fights, so just hard disable on hard disable on hard disable. So they're one of the only teams I see picking Tidehunter, but I don't see why it's particularly great in this situation. I guess they're just hoping... I can sort of see what they're going for. They're kind of hoping to get to a point where it's impossible to win a fight against them and just press their advantage off of that and never look back. And that's going to happen when Radiance gets up. But I think if Weaver goes for like a tank build, yeah, if Weaver just straight tanks up, and DK gets a BKB Lothars, and OD just gets the Hex, I think this is pretty heavily in Fnatic's favor if it just goes as planned. But if LGD gets an advantage, don't look for them to ever look back.
So it looks like Hani is going to be playing the OD. I just wanted to check out the lanes before ending this video. So I think Hani is going to be playing the OD, and yeah, it looks like Dragon Knight will be safe lane. So I guess they want to prioritize on winning mid, just not chancing the Batrider matchup at all. Because, I mean, even though you do... Well, now you have double stun. Now you have a really long duration double stun in your dual lane with Vengeful Spirit, who can cast 2 magic missiles at level 1 if she pops a clarity for like a split second. And Batrider really can't deal with it that well against the likes of DK as well as Venge. So... right now, I feel like Fnatic have the potential to win 2 out of 3 lanes, and they have the stronger mid-game presence. But LGD, do they have the ganking lineup to really put pressure on OD mid? I don't think so.
Yeah, the OD mid is going to be the main issue that I was thinking of. It's why LGD isn't going to get an advantage, because that OD is just going to do whatever he wants. I'm guessing he goes for pipe, or he goes for mech. Chen goes for... Well, this is Fnatic, so they might not play normal. But a normal team that isn't Fnatic would probably have mech up on OD, and Chen goes for like a pipe or something, or a 4-staff or something weird. Oh my god, is that a zebra mount? Anyway, and it's the ADHD kicking in. And then you just group up and push with the pipe mech, but yeah.
So we seem to be in agreement that Fnatic seem to have the stronger overall draft, and LGD have to make a lot of things happen, and that's not really just LG style, because I know if you've watched any of the other casts, you've heard Luminous or LG say, LG, lose lanes, win the game. Is that an option in this game, you think?
No, I think they're going to lose the lanes hard enough that if Fnatic makes a bunch of mistakes, they can win the game. And I can sort of see why if you start losing in the mid-game with LGD's really easy to execute lineup, you can just lose, period. But I don't think Fnatic's going to make any mistakes that are big enough to let LGD back in the game.
Yeah, Fnatic don't really have, I guess... You know, they don't really need to execute super well in the team fights. They just need to not make mistakes, I guess.
Oh, and it's a Nyx Assassin mid. This is just unfortunate.
Oh. So...
That doesn't work against OD because of the mana burn nerf. It just doesn't anymore. Like, if OD gets really unlucky with procs, sure. But then the Nyx mid is just a huge waste of farm.
And then it's a trialing tide, so you won't get a fast level 6 at all, so...
Yeah, and we're just going to abandon all. Yeah, so I would say this is even more in Fnatic's favor than I thought. Can you tell me who won this game? Because I didn't see this at all.
Fnatic won.
Fnatic won? Okay.
Yeah, Fnatic did win this game, and I think they won it rather decisively, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check out the time. Let's see, spoiler alert, I'm going to fast forward a bit. I mean, it's not looking super decisive, but Weaver picks up the same Radiance at the same time Spectre does, so actually it was pretty decisive.
So that means that the lane stomped so hard that Fnatic got more items and couldn't lose.
Yeah, Fnatic, Trixie picked up a Hooded Defiance, a VIP booster for foregoing Radiance, No Tail, went for drums and point booster on the Chen, and, I mean, yeah. LG just kind of... I mean, LG, they like to lose their lanes and win the game, but they just couldn't do it against Fnatic Slime. So Fnatic won Game 1, and we'll check out Game 2's draft very soon to see if both teams make an adjustment. But that's going to be it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one very soon. Thanks, guys.